So once you download your cereal box template off of Google Classroom, it should open into Photoshop and look something like this. I'm making the screencast just so that you guys all understand how to change the colors. So for example, this red or the pink panel or the red panel. I just want you all to know how to change the colors of the panels and how to, just a reminder on how to add stuff in from your images, as well as changing the font and all the little details on your cereal boxes. So in order to change the colors on the panels, you want to take the Move tool, which is the first tool on the left-hand side, or you can click V on your keyboard, and it should bring you to that layer in your Layers palette. Your Layers palette is over on the right-hand side. If you don't see your Layers palette, make sure you go up to Window and then down to Layers and click on Layers. It should open up the panel for you. So once you're clicked on the correct layer, it says side panel, so you'll notice that both of the red where it says ingredients and nutrition, it's side panel and side panel 2. So side panel is the one that says the ingredients. If I click on my shape tool, up top, you'll see that the fill is red and there is no outline. So if I want to change the color, I just click on that red fill, click on the multicolor tool, and then I can pick any color. I can move the bar up and down, and I can go from dark to light over in the color picker panel. My logo that I made had to do with a campsite, so I'm going to go with a more earthy tone. So now that my panel is brown, I also want to make where it says nutrition, I want to make that panel brown as well. So I'm going to click on side panel 2. Again, I'll go up to the fill. I'm going to click on the multicolored square, but instead of choosing another like brown, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just click on top of that other brown, and it'll pull up the color dropper tool. The color dropper tool will then pick up the exact same brown. You could also copy and paste over here the hex code. You guys put hex codes into your brand identity sheets, so you can just copy and paste the hex codes over. So that is how you change the colors of the panels. I'll go through and I'll continue changing the rest of the colors just so you can see what my box is going to look like. All right, so now that I've done all of the outside flaps, you'll notice that the sides are different, and then all of the interior pieces are a lighter brown, whereas the exterior side walls are a darker brown. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the front and the back a third color brown so that they stand out. So this is going to be a much more muddy brown. And again, I'll just color dropper it. And so now my whole box right now is brown. So the next step is to change the words, delete them, modify them, or just add in your own font. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to go to this side panel. So when the box gets folded, these two over here, this one and this one, will be on the outside, and then of course the front and the back are front and back, just like any other cereal box. If you are confused by the template, you can grab any cereal box in your house. This template was modeled from a miniature cereal box. So if you look at the template and you look at a cereal box, you'll notice that they should be exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click on the ingredients. So right now I'm on my Move tool. Again, it's the first tool on the left-hand side. I'm on the ingredients, and I have the option to either delete it, which will obviously make it go away, or I can just go to the T for type, and I can go ahead and I can add in my own font. So I'm going to do the campgrounds. I'm going to take this, I'm going to hit Command T so that I could transform it. If you hold Shift, it will put it on an axis and you can rotate it perfectly. If you don't like the color of the font, you can hit T and then of course highlight it, and up top you can go ahead and you can change that color. Okay, make sure you're staying within a reasonable color scheme. You don't want to have 100 different colors and it looking all yucky. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to delete the ingredients. I have the campground right here. I would maybe potentially add in my logo on either side. Something fun you can do with the font, if you go over to your layers palette, you can double click in the gray space. So there's multiple things you can click on. You have the eyeball, you have the big T, which shows that it is a text and it is not rasterized. You have whatever you typed in, so it'll give you like a little preview. And then there's a bunch of gray space. If you go ahead and double click in the gray space, you will get a layer style palette. In the layer style palette, I always really like to add in drop shadows. You'll notice that under where it says campground, a really dark shadow came through. There's a bunch of different stuff you can do. I'm just going to show you guys for now the drop shadow. So I'm going to tighten the distance, how far away it is. Okay, so the distance is going to be rather close. The spread is how thick it is, of course. And then the size is how wide it goes. You can change the angle at which the shadow lays, so if you want to do it above. And you can also change the way the shadow interacts with the font as well as the background. Okay, so right now it's very light. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to get out of there. If you want to add in images to your cereal box, you should only be using the images which you put on your brand identity sheet. So I'm just going to move my Photoshop down. You'll notice that I have an image right here. I'm going to click and drag that image right into Photoshop. Okay, you'll notice that most of your images will be blurry. Photoshop is not going to load the image until you place it. So I'm going to put it on the back of my box. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to make the image much smaller so that it will fit. I don't want to put it smack in the middle of the box because I think that will be ugly. So I'm going to put it maybe close to the bottom. Once I hit enter, you'll notice that the image becomes much less blurry. It's still not the highest quality image, but it is good enough because it's a pretty small image. Now, if you want, you can go into your layer styles and you could do a whole bunch of different overlays or light-ins or screens. This will change the way the picture interacts with whatever is behind it. So if you turn on the color burn, you'll notice it'll turn dark. Okay. There's all different options. Screen is pretty nice. It actually lightens the image. Okay, and you guys are going to go ahead and you are going to just continue to modify your cereal boxes the way you want them. I will provide a barcode. For you guys. The images are images you picked, and of course, obviously, you should add in your logos to the cereal boxes. You should be using all of the tools previously taught in Photoshop. If you have questions about tools, just email me or let me know. I can help you out. Reminder that Command T transforms, so if I wanted to make this image bigger, Command T would transform it. I can make it bigger, smaller, do whatever I want to it. Once I'm done, I'm going to hit Enter. Command Z undoes, or Command Option Z, depending on what year Photoshop you have. I'm working in Photoshop 2018. For some reason, mine did not update. You guys have a newer Photoshop. Make sure you guys are not rasterizing stuff, because if you do, so say you rasterize your text over here. Okay, if I rasterized it, it would not allow me to go back and change the font or the words. So right now, since it still has the big T and it doesn't look like this, that's not a live shape, I can still go in every time I hit T, it brings me to my text tool, and I can go ahead and I can change my font as many times as I want. Once it's rasterized, you are not able to change your font. So please just think about that before you start rasterizing stuff. Once you're done, make sure, or whenever you're done for the class or the day, make sure you do File, Save As. You're going to save it as your last name underscore box, and then always save a PSD version. So right now at the bottom it says Format Photoshop. I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. And then at the end of the project, before you turn it in as the final, you're going to do File, Save As again, and you're going to change Format Photoshop to JPEG, click Save, and of course quality 12, large file, okay, and it will save a JPEG version. If you want to make two versions of your cereal box, you're not sure which one you like, you can do File, Save As, and you can just do your last name underscore box, and you could do like 1, or you can add a 2, and it will actually save a separate file so that you can have two separate files and it doesn't overwrite your file.